All right, starting the review for the Chapter 8 exam, simplify the square root of 49. So what times itself is 49? 7, right? 7 times 7 is 49. Done. All right, simplify the square root of 120. What times itself is 120? There is no whole number times itself that's 120. So we have to use a prime factor tree. 2 times 60, then 2 times 30, then 2 times 15, and 3 times 5. So I have a pair of 2's. So I could pull out a 2, and left hand side I have 2 times 3 times 5, which is 30. And that's it. We're done. All right, for the next one I have 5 plus minus the square root of 121. The square root of 121 is 11. So first I do 5 plus 11, which is 16. And I do 5 minus 11, which is 6. Negative 6. Don't forget the negative. All right, so my two simplified answers are 16 and negative 6. Or negative 6 and 16. All right, solve using the quadratic formula. All right, here's the quadratic formula. All right, identify my A, my B, and my C. All right, be careful plugging in the values. All over 2a. All right, then I have negative 2 plus minus the square root of 4 plus 12 over 2. So I have negative 2 plus minus the square root of 16 over 2. So I have negative 2 plus minus 4 over 2. So I end up with x is equal to, I have two scenarios, negative 2 plus 4 over 2, and negative 2 minus 4 over 2. So simplifying this on the left side here, I have 2 over 2, which is 1. And here I have negative 6 over 2, which is negative 3. So my two solutions are x equals 1 and x is equal to negative 3. Done. Solve using the quadratic formula. Here's the quadratic formula. All right, identify my A, my B, and my C. All right, so for B I have 3. Then I have 3 squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So I have negative 3 plus minus. 3 squared is 9. Then I have negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 times negative 9 is positive 36 over 2. Then I have negative 3 plus minus 45 over 2. All right, so I have two scenarios. Or actually, let's simplify the square root of 45. So that's 3 times 15 and 3 times 5. I have a pair of 3's. Okay, so I have negative 3 plus minus 3 the square root of 5 over 2. Okay, now you can't add negative 3 to the 3 square root of 5, so there's nothing we could simplify here. I can't divide the 2 into either of these whole numbers here. So my answer then is negative 3 plus minus 3 square root of 5 over 2. That's as much as we could simplify it. We could compact our two answers into one here. All right, done. Find the number of solutions using the discriminant. All right, the discriminant is the part of the quadratic formula that is inside the square root. Okay. we're going to use this. A equals 1. Oh, actually, I have to put this in standard form first, so let's add over the 7. So I have x squared minus 5x plus 7 equals 0. Okay, always push 0 to one side. All right, so I have a is equal to 1, b is equal to negative 5, and c is equal to 7. All right, I want to see what the relationship is to 0. All right, so I have b squared, which is negative 5 squared minus 4a, a is 1, times c, which is 7. And what's the relationship to 0? So I have 25 minus 28. Then I have 0. All right. And so I have negative 3 is something to 0. It's less than. So since it's less than, that means there is no real solution. All right. Just as a little side note, if it was equal to, that means there's one solution. If it's greater than, that means there's two solutions. All right, solve x squared equals 169. How do you get the x by itself? Or in other words, how do you get rid of the square? You have to take the square root of both sides. And whenever you introduce a square root, you have to include the positive and the negative. So I get x is equal to positive and negative. What's the square root of 169? It's 13. And that's all there is to it. We're done. For the next one, a little more work. We have to isolate the x squared before anything else. So we add the 64. 4x squared is equal to 64. Divide by 4. X squared is equal to 16. Take the square root of both sides of the positive and negative. X is equal to positive and negative 4. Done. All right, here we have a square surrounding this whole expression. All right, so to get rid of it, take the square root of both sides. Don't forget to include the positive and the negative. So I have x minus 1 equals positive and negative 9. And then I'm going to add over the 1. So I end up with x is equal to 1 plus minus 9. Let's work out the two scenarios. Okay, I get x is equal to 10. And then x is equal to negative 8. Done. Graph using a t-chart. Okay. Creating my t-chart here. You choose random x values. These are the 2 or the 5 easiest ones to start with. All right. If these don't work, you may have to go to negative 3, negative 4, or you may have to go to positive 3, positive 4. It depends how the points work out and what lands on the grid that you're given. So if I plug negative 2 in, I get negative 2 squared. I get negative 2. You gotta be really careful with the negatives here. All right, so I get 4. Give myself some space down here to do my work. Got negative 1 squared. Minus negative 1 minus 2, so I get 1 plus 1 minus 2. That gives me 0. Then I plug in 0, and I get negative 2. I plug in 1, and I get negative 2. And I plug in 2. And I get 0. All right, so applying these points, I have negative 2, 4. Then I have negative 1, 0. Then I have 0, negative 2. Then I have 1, negative 2. Then I have 2, 0. All right, so you could already see what's happening with this parabola. All right. That's all there is to it. Graph using a t-chart once again. All right, x and y. I'm going to choose these points or these values because they're usually the easiest. All right, so I'm going to plug in negative 2. Be careful here. I have negative 2 squared plus 3. Negative 2 squared is 4. Don't forget the negative on the outside. So I get negative 1. Then I plug in negative 1. And I get negative 1 plus 3, which is 2. Plug in 0. And I get 3. All right. Plug in 1. And I get negative 1 plus 3, which is 2. Plug in 2. And I get negative 1. All right, plotting my points, negative 2, down 1, negative 1 up 2, then I have 0, 3, then I have 1, 2, then I have 2, negative 1. Alrighty, done with that. Find the x-intercepts and vertex of the parabola. Okay, here are my x-intercepts. X-intercepts are where the graph crosses the x-axis. So one of my x-intercepts is negative 3, 0. And the other x-intercept is negative 1, 0. All right, where's my vertex? Right here. That's my minimum value. And that's going to be negative 2, negative 3. All right, just need to be able to identify those points on the graph. That's it, done. All right, find the vertex of the parabola. Okay, we have to use the axis of symmetry formula. All right. And so, let's see, I got my A value, which is 1, my B is negative 2, and my C is negative 3. All right, so x is equal to negative b, and b is negative 2. Be careful with that. Over 2 times 1. So I get 2 over 2, which is 1. All right, so my vertex then is, the x value is 1, okay, because the axis of symmetry passes through the vertex. All right, once again, this is your axis of symmetry, this vertical line, it passes through your vertex. All right, so that's the x value, 1. And now I just plug 1 back in, all right, and solve for my y value. So y is equal to 1 squared minus 2 times 1 minus 3. So I get 1 minus 2 minus 3, and I get negative 4. All right, that's all there is to it. Done. All right. Going over problems now from previous chapter tests. Here it's asking me to factor. That's a square. I could rewrite 144 as a square. So this is a difference of squares, which factors into x minus 12 times x plus 12. All right, it's as simple as that. We're done. All right, chapter 7, part 1, use the FOIL method. All right, we're just foiling here. So I get x squared minus 4x plus 1x minus 4. So I get x squared minus 3x minus 4. Done. All right, chapter 6, write your answer using only positive exponents. To make this exponent positive, I simply switch its position from the numerator to the denominator. And the exponent becomes positive. What number's on top, though? Always a 1 on top. Done. All right, for chapter 17, or not chapter 17, number 17, going over a problem from chapter 4, write an equation of the line in slope-intercept form. Okay, here's our intercept, and that's 1. Our slope, let's see, starting from here, let's figure out the slope. I go up 2, and I go right 3. So my slope is rise over run, 2 over 3. So my answer then is y equals mx plus b. Let's plug in the m, 2/3, and the b is 1. Done. All right, chapter 3, graph the linear equation. All right, where on the grid are all of the x values for? All All right, x is 4 there, it's 4 there, 4 there, 4 there. All right, really simple graph. Done. All right, chapter 2, solve. Let's see, just take your time working this out. We got -6 plus 12 is greater than or equal to -2x minus 8. Going to add 2x. -4x plus 12 is greater than or equal to -8. I'm going to subtract 12. -4x is greater than or equal to -20. Divide by -4. X is greater than or equal to 5. I made a mistake there. Don't forget to flip around the sign because you're dividing by a negative, right? All right, make sure not to make that mistake. Very common error from students. All right, x is less than or equal to 5. All right, last problem. Isolate r for the circumference formula. All right, so if I'm going to isolate r, I need to get rid of 2 and pi. So what do? We just divide by 2 and pi. All right, cancels out on the right side. So I get r is equal to c over 2 pi. All right, I've isolated r. It's as simple as that. Done.